What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Checkup Podcast featuring myself, Armani Jackson, and my co-host, Alex Collins. Alex, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, dude. It's out here in Phoenix. It's raining today. Just enjoying some of that rain. It's a nice
Mm-hmm.
change of pace, but just taking each day by day and just enjoying it each step of the way.
Yeah, most stuff. That's good, man. Hey, Kent, guess we're having you back on the show again. Seems like the people love you, man. So, welcome back, Kent from B Square Pod. Kent, thanks for being with us for this special episode. For this episode, you guys, just talking about a little bit of news and talk about Kobe Bryant and his legacy, and with his anniversary and stuff coming up with his passing and stuff. We just felt it was right to have Kent come on and talk about Kobe, which is his all-time favorite player. So, Kent, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on again, man. Again, just love what y'all are doing. Been listening to every episode and just really looking forward to this topic. When our money came to me with, it, I was like, bro, if y'all are okay with having me on again, I would love to join you. So I'm just really looking forward to talking about this,
Yeah, we haven't accepted you on yet, but no, I'm playing with you, bro. We appreciate you being with us, bro. Most definitely. Going straight to it. Alex, what's your top news for this week in the league?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, bro.
I said going into this week. I was saying going into this week. What's your top news going into the league?
Oh, going to top news for this week. Obviously, it's probably just thinking about the Cleveland Cavaliers winning 2 games versus the fully suited and booted Brooklyn Nets. That's pretty huge. We have Colin Sexton, who's playing out of his mind. He's playing like he showed us back in high school and also at his Alabama days. Just being able to. I remember we all remember that game. I forget who he played, but it was just him and two other dudes running on the court,
crazy.
putting up buckets, competing. Like he's one of those guys. He just competes. He's like they call him the young bull for a reason. He's like that. So he's averaging 25 a game right now. So it's impressive to see what they can do. Obviously, Cleveland is still missing a few guys, namely Kevin Love. So and for them to win back to back at Nets was probably the biggest storyline for me this week. Everything else has kind of been, I would say, more or less what I predicted. Miami's still struggling.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
And they don't have Jimmy Butler. I know that that's a big part of who they are, but going from the NBA Finals to currently sitting at 6-10 in the East, I don't. I'm not understanding where the problems lie. I think I'd have to tune into a few more of their games because I think I just saw last game Bam put up 41 or something like that versus the Nets, and it still wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's the Nets. The Nets happened to win that game because they finally got it together. Um, but Miami is something to watch, and I think an underlying storyline that I've been watching is how the stars of the Nets are taking their shots. And I saw that in the game that the Nets won, James Harden took 8 shots. I've never in my life seen James Harden take 8 shots in a basketball game.
It's yeah.
So if that's the plan going
Mm-hmm.
forward, is for James Harden to take 12 shots a game. I mean, that would work, but is he gonna accept that? Like, is he gonna go full off facilitator mode? Like, because if that's the way they're gonna go, then it gives me more hope about this team because I wasn't sure who was gonna do that role. Now, if James is willing to do that role, then all of the whole trade and why he wanted to be there and all that kind of comes together and makes a bit more sense because from what we've seen from James and who he's been in Houston and how he's been as a player, you wouldn't assume that James Harden would be willing to take that role. I mean, he's never taken that role. Even when he had Chris Paul as his point guard, he still refused to take that role. And yet when they played and won both games versus Miami, he shot 8 and 9 shots in both games. So I'm curious as to where that's going to lead. Because if that's the plan, that could work. But I don't know if everyone's going to buy into that as the season goes.
Ken, what you think?
Yeah, honestly, to start with what Alex was talking about with the Cavs, I just want to say this because this like blows my mind. Lakers and Cavs played tonight. Can you guess who the leading scorer of all the teams was coming into that game? And I'll tell you this: it wasn't LeBron and it wasn't AD. It was Collin Sexton. Like, he's averaging 25.5 points a night, more than both LeBron and AD.
Man.
If he's not most improved player at the end of this year, I'm not watching basketball anymore. That's number one. But that's my first thing. I don't know about the Nets, man. Like, the Lakers just beat the Cavs tonight, but the Cavs beat the Nets back-to-back nights. Obviously, I think the first night was Kyrie playing that first night?
Yeah.
Oh,
He was, right? That was his first.
Kevin Durant, I don't
think
played. I don't think Kevin Durant played.
It was
Somebody
KD didn't play one of the games, but I don't know. Like, I think it was Shannon Sharp that said you can't give up 147 points and win a game. Like, it doesn't matter how much you score, you're gonna give up 147. You're not winning anything. I don't know. Like, as kind of Alex was saying, if you got James Harden and you're having him take like 9 shots a game, why even get him? Like, that's not his game necessarily. Why give up 4 first-round picks when you could have gotten somebody that's a little bit better of a distributor? If you wanted a distributor, go get a Ricky Rubio. Go get somebody that's actually going to be somebody that can pass the ball and facilitate offense. But you're just wasting James Harden's skill when you're having him take 7, 8 shots a game and Kyrie take 30. I don't know, man. I don't know about the Nets, but the league's looking good. Honestly, I like the league right now because I don't have to watch the Warriors win by 30 every night. I don't have to watch the Heat when they had LeBron and Wade and Bosh and everybody. I feel like the league is at its point where everybody has a chance to go far this year. I like it.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit and good thing about it too, because you get hard on the Brooklyn Nets now, and you have this space where now it's like, okay, he's a decoy now, rather than just, okay, we have to worry about him scoring the ball. You still have Kevin Durant, got to worry about scoring 25 to 30 a game easily. Kyrie's going to take however many shots, 20-plus shots a game. But Harden could easily heat up at any moment. And that's the crazy thing about it. But it seems like he's playing into this offensive initiator role where he's like the playmaker. Like, he's still, even though he's not taking that many shots, he's still getting triple-doubles. So, I mean, his game is still, very efficient and effective. But like AC and what you said, Ken, it's like, okay, if he's not doing as much damage as you would want him to do, or if that's what you're desiring him not to do, why even trade for the guy? Because Karras was scoring points off the bench, damn near like a starter, and then you have Jared Allen as a protector inside, and then you give up one of your top defenders in Taurean Prince, and you let go of your depth and your future with your assets. I'm talking about your draft picks, your first-round picks, for one guy. So, I mean, I don't know how to see it. I don't know how to take it either, because it's like, okay, it's good and it's grand that he's on the team now. You guys have become a way stronger caliber threat, but you've applied bigger holes in your team now. Now I've been looking. Alex texted me today. He's talking about they're trying to go get Kevin Love. I'm like, what? Like, for what? Like, I understand why, but it just didn't make sense to me.
No,
and I'm just like,
Love is not.
What were you saying?
That Kevin Love, no, that is
It
not
can't happen.
Yeah, even if they are even thinking about pursuing Kevin Love, first of all, you could have got him when you gave up Jared Allen. So I don't understand what that was. And secondly, Kevin Love can't guard anybody anymore. Like, I mean, he can, but he can't, bro. Like if you're gonna compete and you're gonna go and get a big, why not get a big that can actually play defense? Like, offense is not the problem on that team. They score enough points they can't stop anyone. Like, like watching Brooklyn is probably one of the most infuriating things to do, because you watch the offense, you're like, oh my God. And then you watch the defense and it's like, you're back to offense in like literally 8 to 9 seconds. Like, offenses don't even take time to set up and run a play versus Brooklyn. It's literally just set a screen, run an ISO, and if you drive, the lane's open.
Right.
The defense is horrible.
And they're just getting attacked too, because there's no longer like a dominant interior presence. It's like, I mean, there's DJ, but DJ's old. We keep saying this, and he's not as agile and like mobile as he used to be. So it's kind of like a tough situation. Their second big man is basically Jeff Green, and he's not that big, bro. Like, it's not going to help. So, I mean, I don't even try to get Caleb. I would just go try to get like JaVale or somebody like that, just go get a solid rim protector, because, I mean, JaVale, like, I mean, he's a champion, and I mean, you respect that, but at the same time, like he's gonna do the job for you, what you need in the interior. Like he's gonna swat shots, and at the same time, he's gonna run the rim, like rim to rim. So I mean, that would be a good pickup for them. I don't know. I'm looking at Collin Sexton though. I'm pretty impressed with his game because like coming out of Alabama, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be badass. But then he gets to the league, like in Cleveland, I'm just like, oh, like what's going on with his game? Like I don't know if it's gonna translate. But I just think it's all confidence with him right now, and he's playing at a like all-time high, I feel like, for his career. So that's good. I mean, he was hitting big-time shots. He hit a big-time shot on Kyrie KD. He swatted KD one time. I'm just like, wow, like this is ridiculous. Like there's no way. Like they just made a big trade with him, and all of a sudden, like this guy's like killing them. Like this should not be happening right now. Like you think Brooklyn should be the winner of the trade, but at the same time, Jared Allen's going to end up thriving on that team because I feel like eventually, I don't know when or how soon, they're going to try to dump off those big men that they have and try to, build around Jared Allen. That's what the team expressed their interest as. So hopefully that works out for them. But I mean, Drummond can go be on another team and be a contender. And then I feel like, I mean, JaVale's going to probably be gone. You never know. He might come to Brooklyn. You never know where he'll go. And then they still have Nance and Kevin Love. Like that's a big logjam out there. So hopefully like they can find something to open up and just hopefully see where it goes. Brooklyn, like I said, though, they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do. Like, I don't think this team is set in stone on their current roster situation. I seen they just picked up a guy from the G League on a quick contract. He's like a big shot blocker guy, but he's undersized still. So, like, you need height. Going up against guys like AD and Braun, you're going to need people that can, swat shots and block shots. I don't know, but I was also looking at the West. I've been pretty impressed with Utah. What you guys think about that? Kent, start with you.
Yeah, honestly, you guys remember when Shaq, like a few days ago, was calling out Donovan Mitchell and everybody was like reacting to it? I don't know what Shaq is saying because Donovan Mitchell has taken his game to the next level. I think the Jazz have won what? Let me look. I think it's 8 in a row. Yeah, they've won 8 games in a row. I mean, that's to start a year. That's really good. Rudy Gobert, they signed to a big deal, so he's going to be there for a while. But that team is solid. I think Conley's playing well. He's back to being kind of who he is. Bogdanovich is playing pretty well. He's averaging about 14. Conley's averaging about 16. Jordan Clarkson off the bench. He's averaging 17 points. This team is solid. They're deep. Even Joe Ingles is averaging double figures, and Joe Ingles is Joe Ingles. But I really like this team. I don't know if they can compete with the Clippers or the Lakers yet, but I really like the way they're constructed. I love Quinn Snyder as a coach, and Donovan Mitchell's averaging 24 points. He's averaging 4 rebounds, 5 assists. If he's not, in the conversation for, fringe top 3 kind of guard this year, I don't know who else is. He's playing really well. He's averaging a lot of points, and this team is winning.
And then too, like I was looking, like Jordan Clarkson's potentially like a 6th man of the year this year. Like dude's been like showing why he's worth the money he's worth. AC, what you think?
I think we're seeing in Utah is kind of just years and years of a process slowly coming together. You got Quinn Snyder, who's been there for a few years. Gobert's been there some years. Donovan Mitchell's been there since he got drafted, obviously. And they've had pretty good playoff success-ish if you're just saying making the playoffs and competing. Obviously, they haven't gone. They haven't run the gauntlet, but I have a feeling that this year is going to be a little different because I think they've gotten that experience. Obviously they lost in a hard way in the playoffs. They fought and they lost, but they've gotten better. Bogdanovich was a welcome addition to the team. Clarkson is proving, obviously, as you said, that he deserve his contract. But I just think it's all about Donovan Mitchell, and he's just learning the game, and he knows his spots. He knows where people are going to be at. And Gobert, as much as I don't give him credit for being, a great big in this league, just because he doesn't really do much on offense. His defensive presence is hard to ignore, and that helps a lot for the team. But the team also has what you need in the NBA right now is a lot of wings who can guard and guard the perimeter.
Royce O'Neal.
Royce O'Neal, Clarkson. Like these guys can get out and guard the three, and that's what everyone nowadays is looking for. And if you can have wings that can run the floor and get around screens and get hands up for threes, you can compete, you can defend, especially when you got a stout big man in the paint, especially when the game slows down in the playoffs. So Utah's looking really poised right now. I think if they continue playing like this, they'll probably look like they might make it to the Western Conference Finals. Because they're rolling right now, and other teams aren't. Are having a bit of bad luck. Obviously, the Clippers are contending and competing. They're the number 2 seed right now, but Kawhi and Paul George are both out right now due to health and safety protocols. Not really sure how long that's going to be, So who on that team is going to step up and make sure they get a few W's while those guys are away? Because if you're asking for who is it?
Luke Kennard.
Nicholas Batum and Luke Kennard to get you some dubs, my friend, you need to go to the G League because they can't do it in the NBA.
Go play with the G League bubble with Jalen Green.
They can't do it. But so we'll see how it shakes up. I can definitely see Utah being, the number 2 seed in the West going into next week because they're only 1 game behind and they've played 1 less game.
Yeah, and 2, with Utah, I was looking back in the bubble, they didn't have Bogdanovich either. And I feel like if they had Bogdanovich, I feel like they would have had a slighter edge. Bogdanovich is an easy making shot creator, bro. He knows his spots and he knows on the floor where to go, where to cut. He's just a savvy player in my opinion. He's solidified in my opinion. I feel like Donovan needed him. Obviously Donovan was proving who he was and he was showing that superstardom type role for the future of his career. But at the same time, you always need another guy to help you because Gobert's good and he's big, but at the same time, like Alex said, he's not electrifying on offense. His defense presence is what makes him known as Rudy Gobert. That's why he's paid the big bucks he's paid, his defense presence. But at the same time, he needed another scorer besides just JC off the bench. If he had another fire, because you could put JC in the starting lineup, but then what's your outlier on your rotation, your secondary unit? It's not going to be great or nothing. So I like their chances, and I don't know. I was kind of offended what Shaq said, just because how are you going to put that pressure on him at the same time when he's busting his ass for his team? He's doing enough. It's just the teams he goes up against are pretty tough. You play against the Lakers, you play against the Clippers. They have great duos. They have great teams. He's going up against Harden. Those teams that Damian Lillard with CJ, they were good. Donovan Mitchell was damn near kind of by himself last year and willing his team. Jamal Murray and Jokic, they're a duo. He didn't really have a duo with him last year. And I think that's something we don't really pay attention to in the bubble because, like I said, if Bogdanovich was there, it would have been better maybe. You never know. We can't sit here and say we'll know who would win. But it would have been a tremendous help besides just, Joe Ingles. And, Mike Conley was really inconsistent at times last year, too. So, you can't really rely and depend on that. I was looking at another team in the West before we get going on to our topic about Kobe. What happened real quick?
Yeah, before we get going and moving on to – I just want to talk about what Shaq had said.
Mm-hmm. You're good.
We forget that, Donovan Mitchell is – at that time was probably 23, maybe 24. He's 24 now. Mm-hmm. There's so much emphasis put on players, especially by those who have achieved those things, to be great as soon as possible. You have to be great. You have to get to this next level. But they forget that you can be as great as you can, but if your supporting cast isn't great, there's only so much greater you can make them. I'm not saying that Utah's supporting cast isn't great. I think they got some great guys. Obviously, in those 7 games that they played, they were not greater than who they played against. That's just the truth of the matter. Somebody's got to lose. Somebody's got to win. If had this same thing happened and we went back in time and Utah did win and then went on to do the exact same thing that Denver did versus Los Angeles, would Shaq be sitting here saying that Jamal Murray can't take it to the next level? I don't think so. If he did, then even at that's still not fair. And to make a statement like that so far away from the postseason is just unwarranted and unnecessary. Sometimes comments aren't people like to say everything goes as fuels motivation, and it's some comments just don't
need to be made.
from you. Like it matters who things come from. And if it's coming from someone who I look up to, who is a legend in my eyes, who's achieved this, and you're telling me that I don't have it in me or I haven't shown it to you yet, and you're telling me it on national television, and two, you're saying it without a smile on your face, how is that motivation to me? How is that helpful? You just basically tell everyone what you think of me, and it's not positive. Like, you have to use your platform better. Like, there's no way you couldn't have called him and said, look, I was gonna make this take on air today, but I figured I'd just say it to you. I'm not sure. I don't think you have this in you. You know, I don't think you have this in you yet. This is what I would like to see you do to prove to me you have this. And that right there probably could be motivation. If you don't take it as motivation at that point, you know, that's up to you. You take what you want. But like, you got to use your platform better. Like people like, I'm using a lot of likes and I got to stop.
No, you're good. Don't worry. You're good, bro. This ain't no simile game. I know.
California, bro. We use a lot of likes.
Yeah. We all Cali kids. This is good. You a simile guy.
The old heads, like, I don't like old heads, but the older generation of players need to understand that while the rules have changed as far as the game is concerned, players have also changed in the way they receive messages, what motivates them, how they play the game. And that may have worked back when you were Shaq's teammate. You know, he would tell you, yo, you don't have it in you, bro. And that motivated you to go out on the court and play better. Yeah. But I don't think that really works. And as far as this time zone and in that way.
No, you're right. Honestly, I don't get why we can't build each other up. Honestly, like, build him up on TV. Don't tear him down. I don't get that, man. Like, I'm totally with you. I feel like, I don't know if it's a trend with the older generation, but it feels like they just want to insult the younger generation of players. Why don't we build each other up and encourage, hey, I think you can take a next step this year. Like, I just want to see this and this and this from your game instead of going on national TV. I don't think you have what it takes. And I've been saying that. Like, that's just so degrading. I don't know why he would feel the need to do that, but it's Shaq. You can't ever really explain what Shaq's doing because he's Shaq. But yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell's a hell of a player, and I'm looking forward to watching him in the playoffs because he was dropping, 50-something a night against the Nuggets in that first round?
Like, I think he was averaging like 42 over that round because he had 55, 51s, and 45s all over the place.
Yeah. He was going at Jamal damn near every play, bro. It was battle between them two, if you think about it. The thing I just think about it too, and it's pretty sad, but I mean, Shaq, he always uses his rings and his championships as validation. But at the same time, bro, like, let's not forget, and I'm not dissing Shaq. I respect Shaq. He's probably like my favorite center of all time. But it's like, there was a time you were on a badass team too. I mean, yeah, you were with good players, but at the same time, you weren't beating nobody. Like,
they lost in the finals to Houston. Like, Hakeem went at him and
exactly. So you can't sit here and expect your own teammate, and we're about to talk about him, but Kobe Bryant, like, there was times he had flaws in his game.
Yeah.
But he had to figure it out. The dude is only, like Alex said, what, 20? You said 24, right? He's still figuring out how to play. And, I mean, he knows how to obviously play basketball, but at the same time, he has to figure out his game. Because, look, Donovan Mitchell, that first year, he exploded, whatever. Arguably was the rookie of the year besides Ben Simmons, in my opinion. He was the rookie of the year, in my opinion. But, yeah, exactly. But like I'm saying, you go over to the next season, and he was getting shut down a little bit. Like, he was still scoring, but at the same time, he was struggling to score. So he was going through this phase where he had to figure stuff out. So now you go to this next phase. Now it's like, okay, I know what I have to do now. I know how to score. I know how to easily and effectively get buckets now. Let me do that. And he's always been doing that. So I don't know what the problem is to say, oh, you're not doing enough to me, or you don't have what it takes. You can't say that because at one point you were there. And he knows he was there. That's the sad part about it. He got his ass kicked by Houston. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and the year he got there was the year what? Jordan wasn't there?
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. So you can't sit here and say he doesn't have what it takes because at the end of the day, you got traded to LA, which, mad respect, you won his championship. That's great. But you can't sit there and say that because you were afforded a greater opportunity. He doesn't have a greater opportunity like you had.
Shaq never won a championship without Kobe or D Wade. All of his championships, he had an elite guard on his team. So if
Exactly.
you're going to say like, oh, Donovan Mitchell, you're not taking it to the next level, well, guess what? He doesn't have another like Rudy Gobert's good. Don't get me wrong. He's not elite.
He doesn't have, but he's not no Shaq.
Donovan doesn't have a player like that.
But see, Shaq doesn't even respect Gobert. Like, that's my thing. If you're
Yeah.
going to hate on the dude, for not getting it done, but you respect the teammate he has, I understand. If you don't respect his big and you still expect him to do more than he's doing,
Like,
where do you expect the help to come from? You don't, because he thinks Gobert is like, I mean, I think he was overpaid.
yeah.
But that's not,
Yeah, he was, but that's okay though. That's his role.
But he is an all-star level player. I mean, he's an all NBA defensive level player. Not all NBA player in general, but defensively, yeah. So we can't just. I mean, I feel like I may not like the guy, or I may not like the way he plays, but like you could talk. There's so many other players in the league to talk about. Just you don't have anything positive to say. Just talk about somebody else, man. Just find. I mean, we're saving for Shaq in the fool. Just do something else.
Yeah,
save it for JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I don't like it at all. Do you guys like Denver right now? Like, do you think Denver's coming to terms with what they got going on?
I think, I think Denver is starting to feel a good rhythm. They've gotten a little bit of the scoring back. Obviously, the loss of his name? Jeremy Grant was huge for them. And they got a guy who can play offense, and Michael Porter back. He's been back 6 games, averaging about 16.5 points. So that's welcome back for the team. I think that the team that they have is still pretty solid. Is what they had last year. They have a lot of interesting rookies and a lot of interesting players towards the bottom of the bench that I'm thinking over the time going through practices and in developmental time, maybe spend some time in the G League. Actually, I don't even know if they're going to do that this year. But
yeah, certain teams aren't.
But guys like Bol,
PJ Doug, those guys,
RJ Hampton, Marcus Howard, these are guys who've shown us that they can put the ball in the hole. Bol is a very versatile player. Marcus Howard is a straight dog. He can get buckets. And RJ Hampton, showed us a little something over in Australia this year. So
yeah, he was good.
I think they have a very strong two-legged I don't know, but their 2 stars are super strong, and the rest of the team kind of just needs to figure out their balance and where they kind of just fit in and how that works. They're not a very big team as far as size, and as far as going into the bench, which could pose a problem later into the year. But
the ball movement though is pretty good there, though.
Ball movement, and they can guard the wing pretty well, and they shoot pretty well as a team. They're shooting about 47% from the field as a team. Not a great 3-point shooting team. They only shoot about 34% as a team, but they'll figure that out as the year works in. But I still think Denver is a team not to be messed with. Definitely,
yeah, you can't sleep.
They would. I don't see them falling out of the top 5 going into playoffs, and they're gonna give somebody hell in the playoffs for sure.
Ken, what you think?
Yeah, Denver for me is a weird story. So they're number 1 in the West in scoring right now. They're averaging like 117 points a game, which is better than the Lakers, better than the Clippers, better than Portland, anybody you want to bring up, right? But they're super top-heavy to me. Here's the problem. The guy who leads them in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, it's Jokic, right? If he doesn't go off, that team just cannot function. Because I like Jamal Murray, but I feel like Jokic has to go for a triple-double every night for them to actually be competitive. I think Devin Booker was out. Was it last night or 2 nights ago?
It was 2 nights ago.
They went to double overtime against the Suns. That's the Suns' best player was out, and they had to go to double overtime to beat them. I don't know. I like Denver in certain aspects. I like Porter Jr. I think I predicted on the B Squared podcast that he would break out this year. I think he was averaging about 19 points a game before he missed those games with out with COVID, I think, or out with COVID-like symptoms or something.
Yeah, like symptoms.
I like Denver. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year against the Lakers, but I feel like Jokic has to be that guy every single night for them to win, and I don't think he can be that guy every night yet. Maybe he can at some point in his career a little later. He's averaging damn near a triple-double right now, but
At the center, yeah.
I don't know how far that's gonna go.
Yeah, and you have to depend more so on, I feel like, too, with Jamal Murray. Like, there's sometimes Jamal Murray's not hitting, and if he's not hitting, bro, like you have to depend on Jokic to do, because
Exactly.
I mean, Paul Millsap's never going to be Paul Millsap from Atlanta, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not even trying to talk down or nothing.
He's averaging
not,
10
bro.
this year.
Yeah, he needs to get on. Like, I'm sorry, like he needs to get on. But Michael Porter Jr., like, he stepped up a lot, and he's knocked down his threes pretty consistently, so that's good. Monte Morris, I feel like he's a very underrated backup point guard in the league. I really like Monte Morris a lot. He's pretty good. And like Alex said, they still have guys that are still developing. Like RJ Hampton was a good draft pick for them, in my opinion. He'll continue to develop. It's just guys like, G. Harris, like Gary Harris. I see guys like that. I want guys like that to continue to improve their game too. Because, I mean, yeah, you're playing with, two top superstars right now, but at the same time, you're going to have your moment to shine too. I mean, Dame wouldn't be who he is without CJ too. I mean, he needs him with him in order to, win games. It's proven and it's been shown at times. So, I mean, it's just like a situation where I feel like people just need to elevate their game. Because I feel like Coach Malone, he's a good coach. Like they're very, like, they've proven they're very resilient. But it just comes to that point where it's like you have to solely depend on not relying on one guy to win the game. Because if you rely on one guy, sometimes that might not always come out to be. So it's just something to worry about.
Yeah.
Moving forward, though, going into the main topic of the night, Kobe's 1 year anniversary is coming up tomorrow. This will be released during the time as you listen to it. But I just want to start off with what did Kobe mean to you guys? I mean, me and Cam, we could say we're Laker fans growing up and stuff, and how inspiring he's been to us. But starting with you, AC, I know you're a Suns fan and stuff, but I know Kobe was a big impact on you, right?
Yeah, I have. If I'm just speaking freely, I didn't really truly feel Kobe's impact on me until he had already departed, and I'd spent so many years and so many conversations with my friends, not disrespecting, but just talking about Kobe, talking down about Kobe, because Kobe was always in the way of what I believe would be the Suns' chance to win a championship. And I mean, he was a great player, and obviously we lost to the Spurs sometimes, but Kobe was always there. Every time I thought it was our year and we had our little quick offensive system, Kobe was there in the playoffs. And it didn't matter what we did, what we threw at him, it was just that. But I think growing up, in SoCal and just, he kind of had this presence, and it kind of resonated with everyone. There wasn't a soul that truly hated Kobe. If you knew Kobe personally and you had a problem with them, I can't speak for you. I'm talking about anybody who walks the earth who didn't know Kobe Bryant personally, who was just a fan of the sport. Unless you have a hatred because of a team, I don't really see how you could hate Kobe Bryant. The man was he had class, man. He went about his game like it was his work, his craft. He put dedicated hours into it, stayed true to it. Always set a pretty good standard on how to behave, how to act. Was never erratic or out of control. Was always trying to just inspire and make sure he passed on what he had learned and did what those who had done for him, to someone else. You see how many players in the league now, are just so enamored and inspired by Kobe Bryant, from Devin Booker to Kyrie Irving and hundreds more probably,
Carmelo Anthony, guys like that, yeah.
Well, his impact was was different, and I think it just is all about his empathy, for someone to be such a fierce competitor on the court, and then as soon as that final whistle happens, and he's just the nicest person, I don't think there will ever be, another player who kind of embodies what Kobe did all around, because there was so much more to who he was than a basketball player. He was what the Lakers, represented. He was what LA sports kind of, needed. There's always been a major star in LA sports, and for the most part, they all seem to maintain a relatively clean act, and they just win championships, and that's what he did. Like, I don't think that there is anything that you can really talk about Kobe Bryant and say like, oh, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
man came out and did basically everything, and I'll forever love him for it. Like, I've never said that, so it's recorded. All my friends from back home, I've said it. I love Kobe, but I still wish that the Suns would have got a chip. Regardless, I will never apologize for Nash getting them 2 MVPs. Kobe fans, I'm sorry. It is what it is. All respect. You got your one. You got the ring, but love to Kobe though.
Mm-hmm. What you think, Kent?
Yeah, man, that was hearing that from somebody who I know is a big Suns guy. That actually does mean a lot, man. That's what you just said was beautiful. But I will say the second Nash MVP year, Kobe Bryant was averaging 35 points a game.
I don't want to hear it. Your team was you're 7th in the West at that year, bro.
Chill, bro.
We were if Russell Westbrook can win it as a 6th seed, then Kobe Bryant won it as a 7th. But
that's fair. It's fair too, Alex.
No. Westbrook won it with the triple-double as a 6th seed. He was averaging 24 as a 7th seed, and you won it over a guy who was averaging, I'm pretty sure, 15 and 12 on the 2nd seed in the West. No, sir. No, sir.
Kobe was averaging 36, not 24.
I don't care, bro.
36.
Alex, come on, bro.
No. Hey, it's totally fair. I'll take
I
5
that, so I'm not tripping.
I'll take 5 rings over two MVPs.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll say that. But
if we're going based on how MVPs were judged and because first of all, MVPs have such a loose term besides who wins. It's really just either hype and contest and the popularity or versus an actual decision. So some years is all about who has the best stats. Some years is about having the best team. I don't really know but for that time period, and if based off what I've seen, your team has to be a winner. Okay, getting to the playoffs means you're an okay winner, but you're not a real winner as far as the season.
Fair enough.
Your man didn't. I mean, like, what do they call it now? Empty calories. If you're averaging 40 points and your team don't make the playoffs, does anybody care?
You're playing with Chris Mim, dude.
I'm just saying to be the most valuable player in the league and your team is only the 7th seed.
Yeah, Kwame Brown starting as center.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, we had bums on our team. We had bums, Alex.
Why are we making excuses? You have the team, bro.
Remember Smush Parker, bro?
You have the team you have, man.
No, agreed. And that's totally fair. I'll take the 2 finals MVPs Kobe has over the 2
regular. That's way better than what Nash had.
And better than stats will ever be. Kobe Bryant, far better player than Steve Nash ever was.
Agreed.
Did Steve Nash deserve that second MVP over Kobe Bryant? That's your opinion over mine, because the fact says Kobe Bryant did not win it. But
agreed.
I think he was wrong. Maybe.
Hey, it's all about people don't like necessarily to always give. It feels like at some point it gets repetitive for people to always give LA the props about everything. So I get it. Phoenix had been not good since Barkley had left, and they wanted to give it to Nash, even though he was averaging 15 points. I mean, Joe Ingles has averaged 15 points in his career, bro.
Who else is averaging?
He won MVP, averaged like 18, bro. It's fun.
Who was averaging 13 assists, though? Nobody. Right?
Westbrook is close every year.
No. At the time that Steve Nash won the award, who was averaging 15 and 13?
Maybe CP3 or Darren Williams, but probably besides them, nobody else.
Never averaged no 15 and 13, bro. Stop it.
I know. I'm just trying to name people that deter what you trying to say.
Oh my god.
I respect Nash.
I respect Nash. Nash is bro. I love him.
their playoff success definitely feels like it should have been more, but we can talk more. You guys can talk more about that on a different episode when you talk about the Spurs robbing the Suns of a potential finals.
We should have more than one MVP though. I will make that known. It is a crime that he only has one MVP to show for his career.
Agreed.
If we're all going to point at Nash and blame it as Nash's fault. That's okay, but he should have more than one MVP. That's inexcusable.
That's fair. That's not fair. Yeah, I respect that.
Agreed on that. I think he had a few more seasons. Like the season where he tore his Achilles, he was averaging like 27, 8 and 8. Like he was playing 45 minutes a game as a 35-year-old man. Like
man.
He was on something else. But for me, to kind of describe like what Kobe means to me, I was like 6, 7 years old when he was really on that tear where he was scoring like 60 something a night, like for a week straight. It was crazy. My dad came home and he had a Kobe Bryant T-shirt jersey, and I had not been able to watch like many Lakers games, and we finally turned on the TV a bunch to watch because my dad is not a huge basketball guy, but he turned it on KCal 9. If any of you Southern California kids remember KCal 9, all the Lakers games were on KCal 9, and I would watch every single game for the rest of 2006 and up until now. I still watch every game I can, and just seeing him play. I went out and I was a football kid. I played football when I was that little. I did not play basketball. I went out and got a basketball. My dad got like a hoop from the neighbor that had no net, and I would just wear the Kobe Bryant shirt as like a 7-year-old, and I'd be shooting that ball for like 6 hours a day. My mom would come out and take it away because it'd be just annoying the hell out of her because all I would do is shoot hoops in the front yard, trying to be like Kobe. And my whole life, I modeled so much of what my mentality was, of how I played basketball in high school. Everything I did followed the Mamba mentality. I wore Kobe's. I always had all of his jerseys and stuff. He was LA, Southern California. He was sports to me. It didn't matter like what I was going through. I'd always be able to watch Kobe play. I'd always be able to watch the Lakers play. Even when we were trash, Kobe was still out there. When he tore his rotator cuff on his right arm, he turns over his left shoulder and shoots it with the left hand and hits like an 18-foot fadeaway with his left because his right rotator cuff just tore. He hits 2 free throws with a torn Achilles. Like, this guy is the ultimate competitor, gladiator. He fights through everything. Like, it didn't matter. And so that's what I tried to kind of model myself after is, hey, this something bad might have just happened, but push through it because that's kind of like what Kobe would have done. And so for me, I don't know if you guys know, maybe some of the listeners know where Newbury Park, California is, where Mamba Sports Academy, it's formerly called Mamba Sports Academy. I played club ball there for a long time, for like 4 or 5 years straight, met a lot of different people there. And that was a part of my life for such a long time. Is that area is just Kobe. That area is home. And when he passed away, man, it's like getting stabbed in the heart and there's just a hole. And because he died like 10 miles from where I live, like probably like 5 minutes from where my dad works. It's crazy. It's just, that's home. And it feels like part of home is gone now, and it's just gets me all emotional and stuff because that's just kind of what he meant to me. And it's really hard to explain, but that's the best I can do.
Yeah, most def, bro. And it's just crazy because it's legacy, especially if you're from there. And I mean, I'm from Bakersfield, but just being in the area still, bro, like the impact he just has across the city, a state, a country, a nation, overseas, like he's a big fandom. Like everybody loves Kobe, bro. Like even prior to his passing, even when his retirement, bro, the world was moved by it because it's like the game's going to be a different legacy now because he just evolutionized the game for us, growing up. Like those 2000 and up kids, I'm a 98 kid, but at the same time, that 2000 era on out, everybody was on Kobe, bro. Like, and even like looking back, like just the moments like that you witnessed and were able to experience like his greatness and his goodness, bro, it's crazy. Like I told Ken, I was on Ken's podcast our first time.
Yeah.
And I was talking about in 08 when he played against Boston the first time and they lost. And I was just like, damn, like this guy is badass. And I'm young, like I see LeBron James playing for the Cavs, and I see Carmelo on the Nuggets. So like all these electrifying scorers. But then like I see, Kobe Bryant, And I'm like, wow, like who's this? And I'm just, learning the game, stuff like that. I'm seeing players and stuff like that. And then he was getting his ass whooped, but he was still like going at KG. He was going at Paul Pierce. He was going at Ray Allen. Rajon Rondo was an electrifying point guard back when he was younger. And Kendrick Perkins was a bully in the paint. So I'm like, damn, like he's going at them. And Powell was there and Lamar, Andrew Bynum, Artest, all those guys were there, but they weren't accustomed to that because they never been there. Kobe's been there. So it was like, I'm gonna do what I can to do it. And he gave it all he had, but he lost. He fell short. And so, he goes to the Olympics. And you just see, like, mentally, like, and I'm watching as I'm watching, the Beijing tour and all that stuff. He was determined, bro. He was determined to figure out, how am I going to win the championship against this team? How am I going to find my way back to, proving I can win without Shaq? How can I figure this out in a new era with, Phil Jackson without the system in the same offense that Jordan ran? And he figured it out. I mean, he won the gold medal in 08. Great achievement for the country as a whole because we needed that most definitely. And then to go on and play against Orlando, against Prime Dwight, my opinion, and just that team, they won. And it was a good feeling because you could just see the redemption came back. And like I always tell Kent, the greatest championship ever that I've experienced was 2010. Kobe, they went against Boston Game 7. And at Staples, they won. And just to see like that, that's what drew me in as a Laker fan, first and foremost, was in 08 when we lost. Not when we won, 09, but in 08 when we lost. It's because of Kobe and his passion, his drive of how he played. And it created a lasting impact for me. I just remember too, like, watching Christmas games. Ken, you might remember we played against New York Knicks and Carmelo, and Kobe did that reverse layup to up and under like this. That stuff like that, like you remember stuff like that. And it was just so crazy. It's like, whoa, like this guy's aged, but his 30s now. And he was just still electrifying. I mean, obviously we can't sit here and say we know everything about him. But at the same time, what we were able to witness and what we were able to experience, it gave us a great trust that, like, okay, like this is the inspiration model to follow. Like the Mamba mentality, it's a movement. It's not something that we just sit here and talk about at work or in school, but in everything. It's a daily life application that Kobe applied to our lives, not just through Nike, but through his self as a whole. And applied to his family, applied to just principles as a whole. You have a mentality to keep being fierce and to keep going out whatever it is that you're trying to seek. And my mad respect goes out to him more so than just on the court, off the court. He was the ultimate human, in my opinion. Not calling him God or nothing like that or Jesus, but he was a being where people highly respected him for what he was and his philanthropy, his giving, whatever it may be, coaching, whatever. Like he was all in and determined into those things. And I just look back at his rivalries, the guys he went up against. I was talking to the homies earlier. I was talking about how he used to go out Carmelo and guys like D Wade. Young Harden, young Durant, Kyrie. When Kyrie was like, I can beat you 1-on-1. Kobe's like, bro, stop playing with me. Stuff like that. Like those guys looked up to him because he set a standard, just like he looked up to Jordan. And we sit here and we always debate like Jordan and Kobe and stuff like that. But Kobe just always wanted to model and to earn the respect of Jordan. He wanted his respect. It wasn't never more so like I'm gonna dethrone you, but it was more so like I want to be just as good as you, and I want to be able to earn your respect so that the league can respect me one day. That's how I always seen it. And so it's sad, bro, because I mean, being a Laker fan too, like you look back and you're like, damn, like Kobe's gone, like he's a face. You never know. Like we always thought like Kobe would be the owner of the Lakers one day. We don't know, but you know what I'm saying? Like we saw him as the face, and so like just like his legacy and the stuff he provided for the game as a whole, it was electrifying. And I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to think about. It's so weird to say that he's gone, but it's just a good feeling to know that like his legacy is surmounted, no questionable, like at all. Like I mean, he won the rings he won, no question about that. With the help of he had his teammates, and it wasn't like he wasn't just. I think the reputation back then was like, okay, Kobe's just a ball hog. Kobe's a ball hog. He just cares about himself. He wants to elevate himself. But I mean, I was watching this biopic on ESPN. They were talking about his relationship with Paul Gasol. The chemistry was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was even talking to my boss at work today. He was saying, I feel like if Shaq had the mentality like Powell had as a team and bought into everything, that team probably could have won another championship. Not saying they could have beat, Detroit or nothing like that, because I'm not going to disrespect Detroit because they were a good team. But He said there's a chance they could have figured it out and possibly won that series because, I mean, Shaq was ball dominant. Kobe was ball dominant, but he bought into a role. And you never know the success that had. Kobe was all about winning, whatever it took to win, just like they did in, I believe it was 2012 or 08. Kobe said, I want to guard the best players. He said, I don't care about scoring. I have KD, I have LeBron. I have these guys with me. I don't need to do all this stuff. I'm going to be a team player, and I'm going to figure it out. And I feel like that's the thing that you could just see the shift because he was passing the torch on to others, like Kyrie, KD, LeBron, those guys like that earned that he had respect from, and that he even in himself said, like, oh, yeah, these are the next guys. So let me soak them up with what I can give them so that they can be better. And I feel like that's just better as itself,
Yeah, I don't know anybody else who could go for 81 in a modern NBA game. Like that, him going for 81 is crazy, number one. Number two, he outscored the Mavericks in 3 quarters. He put up, 62? And the Mavericks put up 61. He outscored a team in 3 quarters. Didn't play he could have scored 90 that night. I mean, with the way he was playing, 60 in 3 quarters, that's unbelievable. But, I just want to talk about this for 1 second. I have 3 sisters, and all of like my 2 younger sisters super into basketball. And what he did with highlighting Sabrina Ionescu at Oregon,
Great point.
And working with her, and then his daughters, like he at Sports Academy in Newberry, he was hosting like girls basketball tournaments. What he did after he retired is he tried to take something where people would be like, oh, women's basketball, what's this and stuff like that. And he tried to say, hey, this is something that we need to respect and we need to put time and effort into because this is just as important as men's. And that's something I respect a lot because my younger sister loves basketball, and I grew up teaching her and kind of working with her, and that's something I feel like we should put emphasis into. And I feel like that was something that was really important that he did, is really focus on girls basketball. And when he was saying like being a girl dad and everything's amazing, like that's something that I think we as men can like, hey, that's mad respect right there, that I want to be like that. You know what I mean? When I get to that point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that the WNBA has so much more growing to do, but it's done so much extra growth thanks in part to Kobe.
Yeah.
Always showing up to just watch games in person, have the connections, as many connections he has with NBA players as he has with WNBA players. Obviously, he made connection with Sabrina, coming out of college, but Kobe was just so accessible. You'd think that a guy who was just so, cold and ruthless on the court wouldn't be so like warm and inviting. And everyone who talks about him says, you wanted to talk to Kobe about something, Kobe talked about it, and he would give you advice about it. Like he was so willing to share what he knew and continue to teach people. Like, he was a teacher in a lot of ways. He taught a lot of people, even those who didn't know him, like, how to act, how to fall in love with something, how to create a good work habit, how to maintain a set of discipline, how to show passion, how to express yourself when you win, how to take your losses. Kobe was a fair loser. When Kobe lost, Kobe took it to the chin. Everyone talks about Jordan winning all 6, but some greats lose. Like there's nothing wrong with the great losing. I think that Kobe was what 5-2.
5-2.
5-2. When he took those 2 L's, with grace, man. Because there are other great teams or other great players, and they've been working their whole lives to get one, and well, they got one on you, and that is what it is. And Kobe was, is a great loser, but it fueled him, and he made sure that if he came out the next year, that you weren't going to beat him again. I think that was probably one of the greatest role models that there could be for kids growing up in America or just, around the world, because even at that time, everyone could see anything from around the globe, like Kobe. I just think he became almost more like he became larger than life. He was kind of this figure who walked amongst you, but didn't really feel like he was one of you. He was just that special, and everyone knew it.
Yep. You see him dapping up Luka Doncic at a game, or LeBron, or being at Lakers games and stuff, taking his family.
Yeah.
To me, he became almost a fan and engaged players and stuff. He would work with like DeMar DeRozan in the offseason and stuff. different players. And I feel like that's something that Jordan kind of never did. Like Jordan just kind of became like super private and didn't want to like, I don't know, engage with people. That's why I really like Kobe post retirement. Is he gave back, and that's what I really love about him. Is he just gave back to everyone.
Yeah, most definitely. Because his mindset was, like I said, he wanted to be in the likes and the respects of Jordan.
Yeah,
His game was modeled, crafted, copied, whatever you want to call it. Like he seeked after that. But the thing about it, like Alex said, he was very empathetic. He had a good heart, and his care and love for others showed. Like Pau Gasol said, like he's my brother.
yeah,
He said he is my brother, and to sit here and say that, like you don't just sit there and say that about anybody. I could sit here and say, "Oh, that's my brother," but to mean it out of love, to name your own child after his own daughter that passed away, rest in peace, her spirit too. You know what I'm saying? And all the others that passed too. But it shows the mad respect and love that they have, and the camaraderie, the team, and love. And he was a fierce competitor. And you could sit there and say the same thing about Jordan, about how oh, all they cared about was their self and their fame and their shine. No, they wanted to see you do good too. Um, we talked one time, Ken. We were talking about Derek Fisher. We're not sitting here saying he's the best point guard of all time, but he kept Kobe in line.
yeah.
He helped him. He kept him in line. He was the general. He was the floor general he needed.
Yep.
Fisher was the initiator of the offense, whatever it be. So you got guys like Ron Artest, lock down, score, do what you got to do. You got Lamar, high energy, high crafted. Andrew Bynum, get boards. Yep. Pau Gasol, run your spots to shoot. So he had those guys that were able to accustom into a role, buy in, and figure it out. And I feel like the only thing about his latter years that hurt me so much is the injury, the Achilles.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't get that full. We got a great go away for him. Obviously,
60.
I was so happy when he dropped 60 against the Jazz. That was one of my greatest moments too with Kobe. Besides, obviously, like I said, in 08 and then 2010. But it was great, bro, because it just proved who he was. It was like watching him in an All-Star game. It was crazy to think about. Like when he won. You guys remember? Alex, you probably remember too when Phoenix won. Shaq and Kobe won co-MVP. It was we were young, we were kids, bro. But at the same time, like stuff like that is cool because it's like you see great wonders and you see like stuff like that. You don't see that all the time. You don't just see a player drop 60. Yeah, we see it all the time, but at him, it was great to see that again. And I feel like another thing too, like it's kind of a regret. I wish too, like seeing him play with Chris Paul. Possibly that would have been good. With never know what could have happened with that team, bro.
NBA robbed us from that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would have been bad. And I mean, yeah. So like, it's just stuff like that you wish you could have seen. Because I mean, I wanted to see Kobe get 6, bro. I promise I did. I know I did, no question. But
I did too.
The injury and the age caught up to time, and it was a certain time he knew it was going to come to an end, but we didn't want to see it because it's just like we're so accustomed to seeing him and seeing the greatness that he produced and went up against. And I mean, Kobe went up against good competitors because the thing about him, when you go up against him, you're going to give your best shot. It's like being the best team. Like when you play a team like, right now the Lakers, you're going to give your best. You're going to give your most effort because they're the best team in the West right now.
Patriots when they were good. Yep.
Yeah, like you see even in like what like we talked about with football like earlier, Tom Brady, like when you go up against Brady, you're going to give your best shot to try to win the game.
Yep.
But even if you fail, you're going to try. So it was just like that, and I like that because it made the game better. He made the game way more competitive, made it better. My personal opinion, and I always sat there and said, like, Denver was a big run, but no, Phoenix was a big ass team that the Lakers always had to go up against,
and the Spurs.
Yeah, and the Spurs too, with Manu and TP and Duncan. Like those teams were good, but the thing about it too, though, like with the Suns, like Nash, Raja Bell, guys like that, Amari Stoudemire, those guys, like they excelled and made great series out of that. They made big money off of that, and that's what we love. That's what we love to see as fans. That fandom aspect of it. We want to see good matchups. We want to see those battles. We want to see those wars where it becomes a rivalry. And it just speaks good testament to who he was as a player. Like Ken said on his episode before, we were talking about the goal. You got an MVP trophy named after him now for All-Star game.
Yep.
And no better way to surmount a player, bro. Like that's just how I see it. And it's just mad. Like I just have so much mad appreciation for him, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's only so much you can say about how you feel about this guy. I mean, just like I think he's got the most first team all defense selections ever, and
Like,
not
yeah,
to go along with fourth all time in scoring. And so to see somebody like LeBron pass him is amazing, just because the appreciation LeBron has for Kobe and the appreciation Kobe had for LeBron. It's amazing the legacy that LeBron's carrying on right now for the Lakers, wearing the Kobe sleeve right now on his finger every night and stuff. So only so much I can say, man. Tomorrow's going to be a tough day. I know ESPN is going to have a 2-hour special about Kobe's life and his career and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. Just always tough to think he's gone.
yeah, most definitely. And like always, my thoughts and prayers are always to their family, bro, because we know, we all know, and we appreciate the impact that he had. And before we wrap up, it's important to value your life and what you have, people around you, the people you're surrounded with, because truly you don't know when it could be your last day. I mean, nobody expected this to happen to him, nor his daughter, or even the people that else were on that helicopter. So it's important that we value, and we're grateful to God each and every day for the life that we're able to live. So it's great. Ken, we thank you for being on the show again. Guys, be sure to tap in with B Square Pod. They have a lot of great content with Ken and his running mate, Alex Wiesen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being on our second YouTube video. We've been doing good on YouTube, guys. Be sure to continue to subscribe and like our videos. Continue to share it with your friends, whatever there is. We have Instagram as well. Be sure to follow us on there. And we just thank you, Ken, for being on and wrapping up. Alex, you want to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, I just want to wrap it up by saying that we really enjoy doing this. We enjoy you having on the pod with us, Kent. Thank you for helping and inspire us to get here. I know we said it before, but you did kind of push us into doing this. I also just want to take time to my little brother, who also the podcast. That he inspired me to do podcasts as well. His podcast is called Politically Incorrect. If you guys have ever any time, just check the podcast out. Super dope. I love the name personally. It tells you exactly what you're getting into.
That's cool.
But no. Other than that, just want to hope you guys are going. Have a good week. When we talk back next week, we've gotten a lot better. Or something. Just make sure we have a positive week. And just enjoy life.
Definitely.